I'm a wholehearted believer in the statement that though you may not choose where you start in life, you damn sure choose where you end up. And this coming from a kid who grew up in a place known as the Bay Area, right? Some people think of the Bay Area and the first thing that comes up is the tech bubble of the world, the trillion-dollar Silicon Valley, innovation, startups, tech central. And for others, you think to yourself, East Oakland, Richmond. Well, even though Richmond is quote unquote not in the Bay Area, we still claim them, right? Vallejo. You think to yourself, East Palo Alto, at least what it used to be. These are the places that come up. So some of the roughest neighborhoods or some of the wealthiest infrastructure. And so I have seen throughout my life, those who have come from the roughest environments not only break out of those environments, but become extremely successful. I'm talking about, not just getting the law degree, but becoming partners at some of these large firms. I've seen individuals who have broken through and have graduated early and have gotten all the accolades in academia. I'm talking about STEM degrees. We're not talking about basket weaving in Nova Scotia, with the they-thems. I'm talking about real serious work here. I've seen people who have made it out of East Oakland, Seminary Street, and have made something out of themselves. And I've seen on the other side, kids who grew up with wealth. There was a kid that I was real close with in high school. He was supposed to be the heir to one of the largest construction empires, and he effed it off. Early in life, he effed it off, not just by getting kicked out of high school because he was doing the whippets. This is what before Kanye was doing whippets, this dude was doing them. You understand me? By the damn hundred. I didn't even know what that was about. I didn't understand it. I wanted the gas. He wanted the laughing gas. You understand me? But I've seen this kid completely screw that away. I've seen another kid, parents own wineries, etc. And I ran into him maybe 8 years after high school, and he was working construction. And not that there's a problem in that, but it's like his parents basically could not entrust him with that business because he wasn't built for it. And years later, that's going to end up being maybe you do get the money and you just screw it away. So I have seen the polarity of it. And this has really shown me this, that, your environment, though it may have such a powerful grasp on you and it has an effect on you, and the traumas that you may go through, etc. There are people who've been through things I can't even fathom. But I know this one thing is that if somebody is able to make it out of this environment, if somebody is able to break through this and to use it almost as a catapult, right? You use it damn near as a jump off point, then the hood or the ghetto mentality is a choice. It is a choice. And there was no better example than when I saw there's an artist by the name of Kodak Black, and we're now seeing, the unfortunate real life, real time demise of Kodak Black. Anybody who says that this young man is not going through some things and, fighting demons, etc., that he's not on some type of dope, you're tripping. You're in denial. Some people say, oh, that's just the Florida water. That's just, how we get down to Florida. No, that's not normal behavior. This young man is going through a lot. But nevertheless, Kodak Black, when he first came into the industry, he's got millions of dollars being funneled into his life or his lifestyle, right? He goes from being a kid, in the middle of Florida with the Zoes to all of a sudden being in corporate America, being handed over millions of dollars for his music, for his craft, for his image, whatever you want to say, right? The brand of Kodak Black becomes a multi-million-dollar brand overnight. And I remember thinking to myself, because the stories that I hear about him are either he dropped a new song or he's back in jail. Those are the two main type of stories. And I thought to myself, now, what in the hell is going on here? I know this young man right here has just been afforded the opportunity to get out of those environments, but yet he continues to perpetuate it. And there was a very specific situation where he was caught on like an interstate or something like that doing a dope deal, right? He was slanging in the streets still. And now I get it. Sometimes the industry smoke and mirrors. Sometimes the money they claim they have, they really don't have. It's just an image that they're portraying. I get that sometimes, residuals or royalties or whatever have not come in and you're really living off of the label. But at the very least, he has that advance and he has enough money where he's buying all the chains in the world, all these, cars, all matching orange, Lamborghinis, G-Wagons, this, that, and the third, right? Like he is doing those things. So there is money at his disposal, but what is he choosing to do with it? And so he ends up getting arrested once again, this time for a more serious crime. I think they catch him with the weapon as well as, doing this dope deal or whatever it is, or intent to, or whatever the case was. But I remember thinking to myself, man, that's crazy. So this opportunity that's been given to him, he's choosing the hood over the good. That's a little bar for you right there. He's choosing the hood over the good, right? Because I've seen the kids who came from, equivalent environments. It might not be Tallahassee, Florida, or whatever else it may be, but I've seen dudes come out of Palo Alto, East Palo Alto, when it was still, basically one of the unaliving capitals of at least California, if not the country. I remember dudes who came out of that. And I would meet up with these dudes when we go to different, conferences, Black Excellence Conference, this and that, whatever they were doing when I was still in JC. I remember that. I remember going to LA and meeting kids who were from places you could not fathom, you could not imagine, suited up, right? Ready to take life on. These were kids who had the very same temptation. Some of them even came from, that direct temptation. Some of them didn't dodge the gangs, and so they became involved. They became active, but they made conscious decisions to get out of it. And so again, it was a continuous reminder to say, wait a minute, this is a choice. Because I was always told that, no, it's not a choice. You're just a product of your environment, and that's all there is to it. And I get that. I understand the effects of trauma. I have studied psychology probably more in depth than any other two subjects in my life, right? That's my foundation and my baseline. So for me, I understand that, yes, there are possible lifelong effects if you do not look to resolve the inner conflicts, right? If you do not look to process those traumas in a healthy way, right? But again, that's a choice that's being made. So when somebody is given an opportunity to get out of that lifestyle, and I was actually inspired to do this by a comment that was left on a video that I did, basically highlighting a video of a rapper by the name of YG. After almost 15 years of being a multimillionaire, he's still over there chucking the dice, trying to prove something. This is a guy who has traveled across the entire globe, a man who has made millions of dollars, hand over fist type of money, right? He has made a fortune in music. And yet, everything he does is to preserve that image. He acts as if he is still gangbanging. Like Snoop Dogg, somebody else I brought up, Ice Cube, all these guys, you see the OGs, quote unquote, and they're still looking to portray this image of like they're in the street. You don't have to do that, grandpa. You are a literal grandfather. You don't have to do that. And so I wanted to bring that conversation down, to a level of everyday people. Forget the celebrities. Right? That's something that the person pointed out in the comment section. So shout out to you. You probably know who you are when you see this video. But for the everyday person, we have a choice to make. Are we going to be given over to this ghetto mentality? And this ain't a black thing. It's just unfortunate that we oftentimes seize damn, I went back to massa talk. We see this representation in certain demographics more than others. Right? You go into Asian Americans, or at least Chinese Americans or something, it's not going to be the same. And we can say that's to do with context and to do with history or whatever. I don't use those as excuses. I don't take excuses. I know it's easy to lean on something, but there are people who have been through atrocities who made a decision culturally to say we're going to shift. And anybody who is not a part of that cultural shift, we're abandoning them. We're getting rid of them. We're neglecting that aspect. And I believe there is an opportunity to do that in the quote unquote black quote unquote community, right? To say, you know what, we're just going to do away with those elements. We're not going to engage, but instead it's been allowed to become the mainstream. And we've, not only adopted it, normalized it, but glorified it. And I'm guilty as anybody else. There's still things I catch, tendencies or whatever it is that are part of that programming. But I made a decision at 19 years old when I got out the dope game, when I got out the dope itself, etc., that I'm going to be something else other than what this is. I knew that I didn't want to be academia. That wasn't me. I didn't want to force myself to try to be something I was not. I had an entrepreneurial gene. I knew I was creative. but I didn't know what my identity was, but I just knew I didn't want to be this. And that's a decision, again, that is made at a personal level. So when you have, the kid who's coming out of the hood who ends up becoming the professor, ends up becoming the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, the entrepreneur, right? The electrician, the contractor, the plumber, the landscaper, whatever it is. When you have that individual making that decision, hell, the garbage collector, anything other than that environment and making an honest living. When you make that sort of decision in your life, it is a personal sojourn. It is a personal conquest. It is a choice. You choose to remain hood. I drive by, or I used to, I don't anymore, because I feel I don't owe any of them. I don't owe them folks nothing. There are folks who are still in the same place that I came up in. They're the same apartment building, the first apartment building, not the nicer one we then moved to when I was, before I got into high school, et cetera, and close to the Cupertino area. Not that one. I'm talking about the first one, right there next to Branham High School, right? Before Branham was the Branham that it is now. The folks who know. If you don't know, it's okay. These ain't things you're supposed to know anyway. But the same people are living in the same environments, the exact same lifestyle, sipping on the same sippy sip that they was sipping on back then, blowing trees on the exact same gas that they were on the last time I saw them, working in the exact same store, grocery store, whatever it is. And there's no shame in that. But that's the same. It breaks my heart when we choose the so-called comfort, which is really not comfort at all. It's just familiarity. Most times it's very painful. Most times it's very uncomfortable, but it's familiar, and familiarity can be more powerful than any other force in the universe if we allow it to be. At least it's familiar. People in toxic relationships today, because they were used to it in a household, it's familiar. It's what they know. They're used to it. They know how to deal with somebody who's dysfunctional. They know how to deal with problematic people. They know how to continuously be in conflict. They know how to fight all the time. They know how to argue all the time. They know struggle love. They don't know real. They know struggle love. They know how to deal with struggle love. So they will continue to engage in struggle love because it's familiar. Is it comfortable? No. Do they want different? Absolutely. But do you do what needs to be done for different? Likely not. It's a choice and it's a decision. I shouldn't be saying it's a decision. The choice comes as a byproduct of the decision. A decision, very few of us have made an actual decision in life. A decision is burn the boats type of moment, right? I'm going to burn the boats behind me, and I'm not never looking behind me ever again. That's a decision that's made. Now, the choices come as a byproduct of the decision, right? I have to adjust and correct that. And, maybe this is the first time you might be hearing that type of process, but that's my own perception. That's how I view it. Is to say a decision is to say, here's a platform, right? A decision says, I'm going to take the best care of my body possible. The choice is, am I going to eat the cookies or, am I going to eat the chicken, right? Am I going to eat the carbs or am I going to consume the protein? Am I going to sit my butt down on the couch and eat potato chips, or am I going to, go to the gym and then come back to the house, sit down on the couch and eat some cucumbers or something like that, right? That's the choices that are being made, but the decision's already been made. So when you make a decision, your choices are easy. I said I'm taking the best care of my body, so the choices that I'm making are going to always serve taking care of my body. When I make a decision to say I'm letting go of this hood mentality, I will be successful. I will prosper. I'm breaking out of this poverty mentality. Oh, baby, you're on your way. That's the decision. I said, look, when I looked at my account day after day and I saw not zero would have been a breath of fresh air. I saw less than zero over and over and over again. I said, to hell with this. I said, I will never be broke again. I'm going to do whatever is necessary in a moral compass, whatever is necessary with my integrity and my dignity intact to make sure that I'm taken care of and whoever I'm responsible for is taken care of. I made myself that promise. And I promise you, it's like everything opened up. God opened up flood doors for me, right? Flood doors were opened up for me. I'm making more money at this point sometimes on a monthly basis than I was making in some like entire years trying to be an entrepreneur, etc. And it's because, yes, I'm doing something different, but more importantly, it's because this has changed. I made a different decision. I said, I'm never going back. So I'm going to do what is necessary. Oh man, am I going to film the video? Am I going to put the video out today? Man, there is the choice, the decision has been made. So the choice has been made. I made myself the promise. That's what a decision honestly is. It's a promise you make yourself. And when you continue to break your own promise, you lose your own trust.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3, 6, 5, that's a full rotation. I see you